Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in the frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown and you lose it?
Where you been?
Drunk. Wendy. Darling. Light of my life.
What's your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death? Yeah, so fuck up and die.
Well, you wish you had Thanos' chin, dude. Thanos
Yeah,
has got like I don't even.
Well, the fat muscle, the fat weird part of it.
I'm not like a Thanos like simp or anything, but like, and I don't even like Marvel. But man, you wish you had his big, sexy, dimpled chin.
I mean, it is. Yeah, he does have that.
It's like, Josh Brolin, but like
it's Brolin. Thank you. I was like, I know who. I can picture him. He's like No Country. So I was like, who the fuck is his name?
Well, so Thanos is something. His chin's way on another level. They had to have a whole department CG develop his chin,
dude.
Because it's got like craters in it too, but it's somehow.
I've got it, baby.
So this is the Golden Cinema Knowledge Podcast. That's Jordan Thanos Chin Howard over there.
Yeah, baby.
I have what kind of chin I have?
I don't know.
I have a weak fat chin.
Yeah. No,
trying to hide with my stubble.
No, you're getting chiseled, baby. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the beard really does give you a
Jack Black chin, if anything.
Like, yeah, classic.
Especially with the beard and the gray coming in now. Just give me like 2 short years, and I'll just be exactly like that. Anyway.
Well, dude, but he's looking so good now.
Oh no, he's
with his beard.
He's a fucking
Kyle, dude.
He's a national treasure, dude. They are national treasures.
They're so beautiful, dude. I love. They're such fat dads.
I actually watched School Rock again the other day, and goddamn, I haven't watched it since high school because remember we had to like edit that that was like the only movie on the server, so I'd watched it like so many fucking times, and so I like put it off watching it, but I always forget Linklater did it. Anyway,
yeah, it's great. This is not the movie we're talking about today.
We're just trying to fill time because
I know. Yeah, whoops.
So we mentioned this last episode. So we're doing documentaries this month. We're right in the heat of it. And I mentioned in the previous episode, documentaries are hard because I feel like they're harder to talk about because with a regular narrative film, you have so many aspects. There's the acting, the cinematography, the like score, and like the writing, the directing. And it's like documentaries have a lot of this. They have the soundtrack and like the way it's shot and everything, but it's more always 100%, focused on like what the story being told is. And so it's harder for me to chew on. And this one might be a little bit easier, but this week we watched is it 2012 best documentary. 2012 when it was released.
When it was released, I mean, it was a huge. It took him years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's how I think that's kind of the caveat of just documentaries. Period. Yeah. It's like no one ever says like I'm gonna make a documentary and then they pitch it and then it's made in like 6 months like a normal movie. It's
I'm gonna do the best documentaries. I want to be ones that are like this is just filmed over a weekend. Right. You know what I mean? Just an insane like Project X if it was a documentary.
Right. Yeah.
No, we didn't watch Project X, Jordan. We watched. I hope searching for Sugarman.
Okay,
Sugarman.
Yes, it's called
searching for Sugarman.
Sugarman Cubes. He is a very interesting human being, and I will give you the rundown real quick because it's
for those of you who have not watched this documentary. What's the story? Who is Sugarman, and what is the searching for him all about, bud?
It's actually kind of fun because this documentary is probably the best documentary we've watched this month.
It's my favorite.
Not my favorite.
Yeah, I know you liked Paris's. I know you liked Enron the most, but
yeah, Enron, of course. but yeah, so it's like, but I think this is the strongest documentary we've watched. It's perfect.
It's very concise. The pacing is really good,
and it's
on
gives
brand.
Its thesis.
The music is all about him, which I appreciated. That it wasn't like other artists.
No, right, and they really like. It's cool because they introduced the movie as this like huge mystery, this man of mystery, and so the whole time I'm like, oh, I was hooked, dude. The first right before the credits rolled, I was like, oh damn, what's this going to be about? This is cool. I'm excited to hear about this like artist that doesn't exist, and I've never. He like should have been essentially right up there with Bob Dylan. Like he should have been in that. I'm from the documentary. They interviewed me, but
it is. Yeah, I remember.
It was
that.
cool.
I thought it was weird seeing.
Yeah, but no, it was really nice to have the beginning of this hook me, and then to get it flushed out and to have it just be like a nice resolution. It was a perfect documentary.
Now, it left a very pleasant taste in my mouth, and so I think after watching it, I gave it such a high rating because even though I feel like it's memorable, but it didn't like stick with me in the way some other things, like it was very positive, like it ended on a very positive note, and it's just like it wrapped it all up mostly. I only have a couple questions about like loose ends, but I think it's just because it's a developing story. Like, who was making all the money? Like that's where I'm like, where was all the money going?
That was oh my god, that was number one thing in my notes was like, so did he get any money for this? Because
I read that I had to look it up because I'm like, now he is.
You can teach me because I want to know because I didn't have time to look it up. Anyways, I posted a documentary, the making of this movie, to our Reddit, our subreddit r/coldest known knowledge. And it explains a lot about the making of and the struggle that they went through, but not really what happened after this movie. And so I'm like, we're what? We're like 10 11 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Away from like this finished product.
Rodriguez, he's like 80 now. And
he's still kicking.
He just won, from what I saw, last year the court case to start actually getting royalties for his shit.
Oh shit! Okay, thank you.
Because
and it
wasn't even like winning a court case against someone. It was just like getting all his paperwork, like and getting everything figured out to like. So it's like, okay, I should be getting some of the rights for this, and hopefully, I don't know if he's getting back pay or anything. But
I would
on
so.
Spotify, there's like millions of listens now. So hopefully, he's at least getting a chunk of that. As an 80-year-old man, apparently it's enough for him to retire from his construction job. Thank God.
Thank God. No, America, dude, you've done it again.
He's 80. He's an 80-year-old fucking cultural icon, and he's like, I can finally retire from my construction job.
Oh my God, we're never retiring. This is
Mary says
phenomenal.
Shit, my wife says shit to me about like putting away money for retirement. I said, you are delusional. Anyway, what is this movie about?
But that's
my
fantastic.
mom is listening and is like, Rodriguez, what?
Rodriguez, yes. So, oh wow. Well, I didn't do my homework because I'm a bad boy, but
he's a bad.
We'll just call him Rodriguez because it's like I do not know how do you say his first name?
I don't remember. It starts with an S.
Sixto.
Oh, bud.
Wow.
I think he's like Cher. You could just stick with Rodriguez. That's what
Rodriguez.
Everyone knew him,
well,
man.
right. Yeah, everyone called him Rodriguez. That's his.
If you're feeling froggy, you can call him Sugar Man.
Or we'll call him Sugar Man, or you call him Jesus Rodriguez. That was pretty fun. Because he goes by a lot of different.
Rodriguez is just it's first and last, baby. That's all you need. That's probably all that's on his driver's license.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have a driver's license. He just walks.
He walks everywhere.
He walks to the construction. He
can't afford a car.
Did you see him? He's a phantom, dude. He wears that black cloak and just walks everywhere.
I feel like I have a guy that walks down my street, and I'm like, he's a culture icon somewhere.
He could be. That's what's so fantastic. That is like
the magic of this. It is. It's magic.
Yeah. That's That's what you're left with. Is your big break will come at any time in your life. So
sorry,
this movie,
I didn't smoke weed today, so I'm like unhinged.
You're able.
I can't focus.
Able to keep it. Yeah, well, that's true. You can't focus, but you just want to keep getting your words out.
All right, bud.
Tangents.
All right.
Let us start from the beginning of this movie, called "Search for Sugar Man."
Searching for Sugar Man.
Oh yeah, whatever. Searching for Sugar Man.
Looking for Sugar Man.
The cover title just is Sugar Man, so I really thought it was Search Sugar Man for a long time. Anyways, this movie is directed by Malik Bendeolo, something like that. My apologies. We always ruin everything. It's his only movie he made, so we never have to worry about.
Oh, great, thank you.
We never have to worry about saying his name again in the future by watching another one of his films.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is a movie that starts in South Africa, and it focuses on a record store owner who his name's Stefan, and they call him, it's Seegerman, but people call him Sugar Man. And he liked that comparison because he's a really big fan of this artist named Rodriguez. And Rodriguez is a 1960s, like late 1960s, early 1970s folk singer who did a lot of acoustics, backed with like his voice is really beautiful and it's really distinct.
Yeah.
And he writes simple songs, and they were like, it was a bootleg album that made it to South Africa and then got like pirated and moved around and like, you know, played by different people, turned into a cassette, turned into CD, and it just kind of like, it was this underground musician that became really popular.
But it became
like,
so mainstream they were selling it regular in record stores, which is what's
Right.
wild to me.
right,
That
it became so
that it
mainstream
got to that level
people-
that nobody questioned it because it seemed so normal, like it was on the shelves
Right.
next to Elvis
Well, they were like,
and shit.
there were people buying it in stores, playing it on the radio, like doing covers of it, karaoke stuff, shit. Like everyone was like really entrenched, and I was like trying to think of like, I can't think of anything else like this. That's what's so fantastic
Yeah,
about this.
that's what's
like,
really
documentary.
unique and cool
It's
about
like
it.
it's so cool.
And there's a brief history lesson of early.
Yeah, they talk about the apartheid.
Well,
and
they
South Africa.
insinuate that like Rodriguez was so important to the cultural revolution that kind of was happening in South America at the time, which I also think is an extra level.
No,
of it.
in South Africa.
What did I say?
Yeah, he's in South America. But anyways,
Oh, yeah, South Africa.
yeah.
South Africa.
Yeah, so in South Africa there was apartheid back in like, you know, the 70s, I guess, and so they used a lot of his songs as like political fight songs and using them as just like, you know, the counterculture songs of the time because of like the segregation and all the racism and all that shit that happened. And they definitely like, you know, used him as kind of a banner and like you know, somebody to march with. And it like got into that guy, Stefan, like it got into his ear so much that he wanted to find out who Rodriguez was. It's like they go through the whole documentary, the first like hour of it is them just talking about all they have to go off of is like what like bootlegs they've gotten from people. And because there was such a like, South Africa had such a harsh censorship. Oh my god.
Yeah, censorship, and there's very isolation
laws.
with the apartheid. And
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So they weren't getting a lot of like American things. They weren't getting a lot of like foreign things, period. And so it was really hard to get this stuff. So all they had was like the vinyl to go off of, photos of him on the vinyl, and some of the cassettes, and then the dude, because it pretty much, the main character is like Stefan. Really, he's the one that has like, has the most interest, and he's been looking for Sugarman since the 90s. And then you find out in the documentary later that like he found him in the 90s. He found Rodriguez and like found out that Rodriguez was still alive, because that was such a huge mythos behind him, was that this folk artist was like, he died a hero essentially, or not even a hero. He died like an enigma where
it was like this
he went
martyr,
on stage
this like
and
crazy,
like, yeah, martyr,
yeah.
great. And he like some of the stories were like he burned himself alive on stage, or he like committed suicide on stage while he was playing. And like some people were saying like he had a lot of huge commercial success and he couldn't handle it in America, so he killed himself, or he had very little success. It was like there were so many like rumors.
Yeah, like it was like he, you know, he's a real artist and people didn't understand his music, so he
Right.
like killed himself because it was all like about money, and it's like just like crazy
Yeah,
how
and,
like
like-
those like mythos build up, you know.
Yeah, it's cool, dude. Like how Stefan went into his lyrics and was like, "All right, I'm gonna be able to like find who he is through his lyrics." Like, because he like in some of his lyrics he says like I can't remember any of them, but he just basically, it's like, I met somebody on the street in like, you know, this city, and he's like, "Oh, this city," and he's like trying to find it, and he's like looking on an
That's what's
atlas,
cool.
like just a paper atlas and stuff. And
It's
so
like
he's
an
like doing
investigation documentary for a good chunk of it, but it's
right.
like,
It really is, yeah. And
it's
then
cool.
And then it's cool because he makes like a website in the 90s, the later 90s, and like his Rodriguez's actual daughter finds out about it and sees it online, and boom, like sends an email and is like, "Hey, that's my dad. He's alive. This human being exists." And so they were like, "Oh shit!" And they were able to like arrange for him to come out. And it's so cool because Rodriguez, like, this is an hour into the documentary, and you find out that Rodriguez is like a fucking hermit. Dude that just like, he works and he just lives at home. And that was kind of the one thing, the thing that I was very upset about this movie. My critique of this film is I kind of wish. I mean, I'm glad that we didn't because it's like it's cool the mythos behind it and he is such a like mysterious character.
Even the way he talks now, he's just like quiet and humble and like kind of vague.
Yeah.
Like he's a phantom, dude. He's still a phantom.
But I think he has like because he gets found out and he goes to South Africa and he puts on a show and he's really modest on stage still even, but you can tell he's like energized by it.
Well, they're saying like he was always like that's
music.
who he's always meant to be and he's like being his real self.
Right.
But that's what great. It's like it culminates in that is the best. Like the climax when they like finally like they're like come tour in South Africa, not America. And come tour and come see that you actually are famous here. He's like, oh,
and he sells
I
out.
guess.
He plays like 5 nights and he sells out like a whatever like 20,000 stage concert hall, and he like sells out and people are like singing along to his music and stuff. And it's like
insane.
This whole like it's so wild to think like this dude's like in his 60s, just finding out that like. Hey, around his 60s, 50s.
Yeah.
And it's like he's just finding out that like there's a whole state that listens to you. There's a whole,
Generations, they
there's
literally
generations of people. You're huge. You are a rock star. Like they were even saying like he's like
the
bigger
kids,
than Elvis.
Yeah, the kids here. Yeah, they say like supposedly outsold Elvis and like everyone else there, and they were even interviewing that guy. I don't know if it was like one of his construction coworkers or like a guy from the bar that knew him back in the day. But he's like, there are children that like grew up on these songs. Like, they've been around for years. It's like so ingrained. Like we would be in like, I didn't like grow up with like, obviously I'm like, we're far too young for like Bob Dylan and stuff. But it's just like that kind of like cultural throughway. But it's just wild to think that it's just like he's telling his construction buddy like, oh yeah, I'm actually pretty famous apparently in this other country, and then he went out there and they're like, no, I don't believe it.
Dude, yeah, it's so wild. Like I can't even like that's the whole thing. Like and then the documentary just ends on a happy note where it's like he's just living his life and now he has the recognition and now it's like they don't really tie anything up necessarily. It's just kind of like he is living and he was a legend and he like finally got the recognition he deserves.
Yeah, and he
now,
seems nice that he's like come to terms that it's like he's definitely not the kind of person that seems like bitter about like, oh, that could have, because they even ask him like, had you known about this obviously could have been a life-changing information and like you could have been like rich and like famous. And he's just like, nah, man, I'm just happy that, it's like people like the music. You know what I mean? Like,
and I think he was in the scene. But I think what's crazy, so the documentary, it just kind of like it yada yada yada's over like the like what is that 15 years from like when he goes on the tour in South Africa to like 2012 when the movie's made.
Yeah,
it's
I feel like they must have
they
just filmed it, but like nothing has happened in the last 10 years. They're like, okay, well mystery solved.
Yeah, right? Like did he just go on that tour and then like he must have just moved back to Detroit and then had his life, which wasn't that significant to like the motivation of the plot of this documentary.
Yeah,
like it doesn't fit the narrative very well of like him being mysterious and stuff because it's like it seems like he had another wife and he like left her or something and then he has kids. He's like a stepdaughter.
There was a bit that about like his it was like his daughter or his granddaughter or someone like married someone that they met on tour in South Africa and they have a kid there, so it's like. That's like the coming together kind of in a way, that's like the most kind of epilogue we get because he just kind of went back to his life, which is like sort of bittersweet, where it's like he just goes back. It's like ends and he's just like he's just walking to work in the snow.
Right, I know
whatever,
it is.
And it's just
and
like
it's cool because that like is him though. That's what I mean. Like he like literally does walk everywhere. People like say like, oh yeah, they would see him walking around all the time, and he's got a very distinctive walk. I like it. It's like it's cool. The way this documentary was shot is really cinematic. It was like
really well. No, I really liked the structure and the like the way that I thought it was very well edited and put together.
But if you would like, I think I posted that documentary or the it's a making of.
Yeah, I want to watch that. You just posted it right before we came recording. I was like, oh.
I know, yeah. It's a nice like insight into the tour of the movie. So the movie took he says in the documentary that I'm making of, he says it took 1,000 days to make, which is kind of a fun way to say it. I like that, but it took him a few years, you know. And so, but he got it because he was a journalist going around, like he was going through like Europe and South America, and he ended up in South Africa just looking for interesting stories to write about.
That's why it must have came out so late,
Right.
because it's like you would think,
Yeah.
if this was made in the late 90s when it was all like coming about, would have been, you know, it would have been a different movie, but it, like with the heat of it, but like the people involved, they're not documentarians. So
No,
that makes sense that he's just like, holy shit, I've never heard of this. This is an amazing story. I need to like make a documentary about it and then go back on it.
And that's
Which is
pretty
great
much,
because honestly, none of this would happen in the internet age. And it's like even finding him and stuff, it's like the sleuthing and all the long distance phone calls and letters and the start of the internet.
That's what's cool. It's
really
like, because
interesting.
back in the day, the start of the internet was like you were literally just like, I mean, now you're just screaming into the void, but back then it was even more like now there's billions of people using the internet, but back then there was only like thousands or millions.
It's like literally you got to find your niche forums and shit. And I like that they had like the missing milk carton with him on it. Like, have you seen this man? You know,
that was creative. But the documentary, the making of, it really does like. So for this movie, when it got made, and like, it's so cool because it's like this movie was a passion project and made for like nothing. When I thought about it, like most documentaries are like that. It's hard to make a documentary with like a studio backing it. Like you don't later for distribution and probably because like this movie, a lot of like the editing was done because he never edited anything. And so he just like, he started just shooting stuff, you know, and then he compiled a rough edit, but it's like he had to teach himself and stuff. And this was just him learning how to do all of this, you know, and he was kind of doing this like in his free time and stuff. And so it like, that's why I feel like a lot of documentaries are like that, where it's like, you can tell a lot of effort is put into it. And it's impressive. And it really reflects on watching like a Netflix documentary or something where it's like, you know, that was actually probably produced, which is so interesting.
Well,
like,
that's what
it's
I
like
think
a
is
subject matter that's produced.
Exactly. That's what I think is an interesting about this movie and how it makes a lot of sense the way you say he like went after the fact, because it's like this movie was telling the story of a previous investigation, like them investigating it in the 90s, and this movie was telling like them describing it, them doing the archives, whereas like a lot of other documentaries were like they are doing the investigating themselves,
right?
To figure it out. So this one's, I think it's interesting because it's like, it's got the hook, the like mystery and the hook, and I kind of wish I didn't know that he was alive, because it's like the whole time I'm like, is he dead? Because they don't show you.
Wait,
but
did you know?
I knew because he's
you
all over the promotional material. Like there's a picture on the poster that's him in modern day.
Oh yeah, I
and
guess
so
you're
I'm
right.
like, I know he's alive. I didn't watch the trailer or anything, but he's all over the promotional material, and I'm like,
I don't know. I didn't put it together because I guess the poster that I've seen is that orange one that says Sugar Man on it, and it's like that's the only poster I've seen, and it gives nothing away for being.
Yeah,
like,
that one's kind of vague.
Yeah.
But
I went into it not knowing, and so it really was perfect. It like so I was mystified, and I was so engaged like the whole time. Like right at the beginning, I was like, "Is he alive?"
I didn't know for sure because the more it went on, the more I was like, "Is he?" You know, because it's like,
well, and maybe he was alive and then he died during this documentary, because sometimes that they do that, you know?
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You know what I
like,
mean? Like
they were gonna find out that like he just died, or they barely, you know.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, it's cool because he's old. He's an old man kicking. Just hanging out in his house that he's lived in for like 60 years in Detroit.
Oh yeah,
which is
so
like
cool.
something about that. I don't know what it is. It's like, just
yeah.
he's an enigma.
Well, and it's like it's kind of cool because like even just his life, it'd be cool to like. I mean, he really didn't want to do like any of the interviews or anything like that. So like what they got from him is
you
like
can tell
amazing.
he's kind of like shy. He's like,
yeah.
Just let my
yeah.
music speak for myself. And it's like, it'd
Right.
be one thing if he had, 30 years of being a celebrity behind him. But it's like, all of a sudden, I mean, like, obviously the last 10 years, since the documentary was made, he knew about it, but even then he probably was still like fairly, I don't know, he could flip it
Yeah,
on and
I mean,
play
what-
his music,
well-
but he's not like crowd surfing or anything, you know.
And I wonder if he tried like, I wonder if people approached him saying like, do you have anything new? Do you have anything you want to like, you want to, like record? You want to get something else going again? And
bet he
I wonder if he
does.
just
stuff
probably
that he
didn't wanna
wants
do
to
anything
play.
different.
Yeah, that's the thing. I bet
What do you mean?
I bet he still, because he says he still plays guitar, and I bet he still like makes up songs. But he's
Yeah,
like,
right, of course.
He seems like the kind of person that's like, he at some point in the 30 years was like, that's behind me, that's my past. I'm not like that kind of musician anymore. So I feel like probably someone was like, yeah, now that you know, like, do you want to make a new album or something? And he's just like, no, that's that's not who I am anymore. Like, I'm still a musician, but I'm not like a I'm not like a recording artist or whatever,
Right. Well, I don't know, man. We're speculating.
Who knows?
You know,
Who
out
knows?
there.
I am speculating
You're-
just based on
yeah.
like my read on the
But
guy, you know.
and his vibe, yeah, right. His
Yeah.
total like how he just. That's how come I'm like, it's weird. I mean, okay, so the '60s, there were like the whole. I mean, up until like honestly, I don't know, the '90s. It's like a lot of times, record companies would just take an artist that had a sound, like record them because it's like it was easy to just get their recording, get like 12 songs.
Well,
and
you
it could
wanted
take,
to
like,
be
a
the
day.
guy that discovered the next big thing.
Right.
And you're
And
like,
they were taking
yo.
hundreds of people because just in case that one song got into the right hands,
Yeah,
and
it
they,
cost them
made
nothing.
it big.
and- yeah,
Right. It's like basically they already put the cost into the studio.
exactly.
May as well have a human being come in, perform, and that's it. So there are probably, I wonder, in my notes I said like, how many Sugarman stories exist? Because I bet you there are a lot of not necessarily to that. Not necessarily to that,
like
that
he
scale.
got so famous in another place,
Right.
but like how many people recorded
Like,
a fucking dope ass
a
album
dope-
that
dude,
just never
yes.
went anywhere?
Yeah. How many vinyls are just out there, just
Here-
like waiting to be discovered?
This is the moment. This is my. If you liked this, watch this.
Yeah.
100% could not stop thinking about the documentary A Band Called Death. Is literally about that. It's literally
cool.
it's literally
Is it about death?
not the metal band Death. It's about this all black punk band called Death in the like mid 70s, 1974, and they fucking rock.
That's who I was talking about. Yeah.
Well,
punk
I
band,
mean,
black-
the more
black-
famous Death is the the death metal band, which I love also. But no, Death, the punk band, they put out this. It's very much like Sugar Man, where it's like they recorded like 2 little LPs or whatever, or EPs, and they were really, really fucking good and would have been like huge proto-punk icons, especially since they were all black guys.
Yeah.
But it didn't go anywhere, and they blamed it on the band name being called Death. That the guitarist was gonna die on that hill, and they discovered their album. Someone like some record collector discovered their album in like 2012 or something, and was like, "Holy shit, what is the deal with these guys?" And then they went in and made a documentary about it, and it sucks because I'm gonna spoil it just a smidge, but like as soon as they made the documentary, the guitarist who was like the main former of the band, he died like the previous year, right before they blew up. Because now I heard their movie in like a fucking I heard their song in like a movie the other day.
Dude, no, that's I remember hearing about Death. Yeah, probably like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, it is a very good documentary, and it has a similar kind of like lost music preservation type vibe that it's just like, what could have happened, you know? It's interesting because it's the biggest difference, obviously, is how popular Rodriguez was in South Africa, whereas Death was just like collecting dust on a shelf, and then had they made it big, they would have been talked about in the same breath as like the Ramones or something.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like they were so like nobody was making music like that in 1974. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's what's so crazy. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, if you like this, watch that. But it's just interesting how much music out there. Like, go trifle. That's why every now and again I'll just fucking rifle through records at the fucking DI, and they're mostly shitty old Christmas albums or something. But it's like, who knows? Go through your parents' attic, and you might find the fucking some lost band. There's like the shit that just didn't happen, you know? Because it makes me, like, what were we talking about in a previous one about, like, how many movies out there just don't exist anymore? especially from certain time
Oh,
period.
I
Like how many
know.
pre-war movies just don't exist, and like
Right.
it makes a big point about like art preservation in general.
Yeah. I mean, and we haven't like. I mean, we've been like, we've been categorizing and like, it's like trying to preserve all sorts of media forever, but it's hard. It's even back, like especially back in the day when things were like they could degrade so easily. It's like, or film just like that's how come like Criterion and Giannis Films, it's like they are like killing it.
That shit's
they
important,
bring
man, because
right, yeah.
these
I love
physical, like, it's nice that film has basically been the medium that shit's been shot on and projected on for like the first essentially 100 years, the previous century, and same goes for like a lot of music has basically been recorded on like.
I mean, it's vinyl,
various vinyl and some tapes.
It's like, but what's wild though is like
the
a master. I'm always
physical
curious about
mediums,
that.
and the masters.
That would be really interesting to like look into, because it's like masters. Not everything got a master, but a lot of things could get recorded. Or am I mistaking?
I don't know.
Like,
I'm a little bit.
I thought a master
we're
was where you
obviously
could-
film nerds.
I know
first.
film, yeah. So
we
yeah,
both
music
are
is-
also love music, but
But-
I'm not
right,
as
but it's-
familiar with the history of music
I haven't-
recording as I am
yeah,
with film recording.
because my understanding was when they make a master, it's a really strong metal engraving that they can mass produce.
Right, and
So
then
you can make
basically it's just like the plate. I think that then it's just like
Yeah, and it gets
it's the
pressed with, like,
stencil
vinyl.
gets pressed with the vinyl or something.
But then recordings on vinyl where they would make like a single recording, that can be done with just like whatever the fuck it's called, a microphone or something.
Yeah, it's a mugaphone. You heard it here first, folks.
yeah. I did I Wikipedia'd before I got on.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's
Probably some
interesting.
gramophonicator or something.
It's a big problem, I think, because especially not only do we how are we like, since we've moved on and all that shit is like antiquated now, that it's like how do we preserve like old music and old movies now in the digital age, because it's like MP3s or something. It's like that. Who knows how long then that's gonna be viable? Like how many in our lifetime?
Degrades.
In our lifetime alone, how many music and like video things have we gone through? You know,
dude, and hard drives deteriorate.
Hard
they
drives
can't,
are already almost obsolete.
You can't load what we're doing right now with our to archive the internet. You literally just have to move it to another newer hard drive, or that will start to degrade, and then you have to move it again. And it's wild how we're playing catch up with like the new technology that comes out.
Yeah,
we're playing catch up from things that like a master that was just in steel that like can't ever go bad as it sits
exactly.
there.
That's the thing. It's
kind
like
of
you
interesting
can't
how that
find.
happens. But it's
like,
harder to make a master clearly than like when you build a hard drive, and that hard drive can hold a gig, and then it's like, okay, you can put like 500 things on there.
Well, even the cloud is on some server somewhere, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
it exists as like a literal physical thing that can just degrade. It's like wild.
It's like a fucking fire happens somewhere, where the servers where your fucking shit's held, then you're fucked. Because it's like I got a box of DV tapes in my attic, and I'm like, I can't watch those. Like I can't go like.
And they could have gone bad too.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly,
they could just like rot or get moist or something if they're not.
Yeah, they get like the digitized where they like they just can't play anymore. They're like stuck together. Dude, that's that's frightening. I need to go wind mine out so they don't get a.
I know. I gotta just go to the pawn shop and buy a camera so I can watch them.
Yeah, you really should. Well, what's crazy is like. David, this is a tangent now, folks. Sorry,
you're
welcome. We kind of this movie's fantastic. I don't know the music. It's really good. Fine. I'm not a big fan of the music, but like I think it sounds amazing. It's not really. What I
really like his voice, and I do think his lyrics are solid and everything from what I remember seeing on there, and I can definitely see the comparisons to someone like Bob Dylan and like with a little bit more of a recording back though. He had like a
he's
recording
really
band
like. And he's really like, I think he's, well, it's funny, he has the recording back, but I think he's a lot more stripped down in his lyrics. Yeah. Like the reason Dylan is like so prolific is
it's like poetic.
It's poetic, and it's like, and he kept up, and then he got signed and all that stuff. But it's like, he's a little more like frantic in his like,
He is.
writing, and I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I don't-
Rodriguez
but I-
is very like it is. It's very like subdued, kind of
Yeah.
straight to the point. You know what I mean? It's not like super tons of flowery words. Like he's very
No,
just singing
right.
about
But I
just
do
regular
appreciate
shit.
it.
Which I can definitely see
Yeah.
how that is really stood out to a lot of people and really influenced a lot of people of the time. You know, that heard it in South Africa. I keep wanting to say South America. I don't know why. I think it just comes with it, but it's cool, man. I don't know. This documentary, I think the biggest takeaway for me, not only of the cool story, but like all these types of documentaries usually have some kind of tragedy or some kind of crime. And I'm actually really surprised because most documentaries that I think of are like these true crime, brutal documentaries or like exposing like a horrible fucking whaling or something.
Yeah, sure.
But like
They're going
this
to make a
documentary,
splash.
yeah, like this documentary is just like it has like the mystery and like all that, but it's positive. Like the whole thing is positive. Like I just kind of had a smile on my face the whole time, and it left with like a good happy end. Like I said, it's a little bittersweet just because he's just living in obscurity and stuff still. But
Right.
it's like
Well, yeah, it definitely left me like wondering. Like, it's nice that it has a happy ending, and I'm glad that he's happy with his life, and that's cool. But I'm also like, he probably would be happy if like he had money too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
well,
think there's anyone in the
who
world
was making all the money?
I know, right? That's
That was
the thing
my
where
biggest thing.
I'm like, and that's what's funny. It's like all the interviews they got. I'm like, of course those people are happy because they made something. Like they're rich. It's not like they're like the record label producers and
Yeah.
stuff. They're like, yeah, I don't know. I've worked with a lot of people. Oh, I remember him. He's great. And like they have promotional stuff and they have other like photos of him, which was fascinating.
Yeah.
The person who like produced one of his albums. And I'm like, it's been like 30 years, and I'm like, what is that guy? He's not going to do anything to like. He's like Rodriguez. Yeah, I remember that guy. Cool. It was fun to work with him. That's it. It's like, did he? What else did we do? Did he try to reach out to Rodriguez and be like, hey, what do you need? Like, I mean, clearly he didn't, but
No.
whatever. That's the cynicism corner. So we're
Yeah, it's sinister. I know. Can we make that a regular part of the podcast? Because it feels
Yeah.
it is already.
we usually get it. Well, especially, but for documentaries, that's the other thing is like, I do love the positivity in this.
I'm
and it's
surprised
fantastic.
it like
It's just like we could have had a little bit.
even Enron
more.
wasn't like as dark because a lot of the documentaries I'm used to are seem like so heavy. You know
That's
what I
true,
mean? Like
yeah.
seem so heavy. And I put a lot on the polls that are like much more like who fucking murdered this child. You know what I mean? And it's like this
Yeah, right. We all know which
whole-
one you're talking about.
There's so
that
there-
one
there's so
will
many.
boil your blood. That one will boil your blood. No, the one everyone knows the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't say it.
But God, man, it's nice. It's like I was kind of surprised because I wasn't like the cynical part of me was like he's gonna be dead, and
Well, I know. I thought they were gonna like find out something that was like, oh yeah, they screwed him hardcore and they took because it's like I don't think really anyone made money on him. Period. I mean, I think people in South Africa probably did. Like
yeah, they kept
just,
saying
like,
they sent away the royalties
Like,
quote. And
yeah,
but then there was the one guy who used to own the company and he was being like super defensive, so I feel like maybe he pocketed a little bit back in the day.
Sure, right. But that's the thing. I think people who made money off of it probably just made that like their average, whatever you make, their like industry standard on it, and then that's it. And then I don't think like because he wasn't a huge hit in America, so I don't think there was like a lot of royalties flowing in. And I think people in South Africa were making money off of like the bootlegs and the reprints.
You
that
hear
they
about
did.
big popular musicians that are huge that still get fucked over. You know what I mean? And he was just kind of unknown, so it's not surprising that he fell through the cracks like that. Because even Elvis got fucked over by his manager and got like a shitty cut than he should have got. It's like there's so many artists that just like get fucked over. Either manipulated or one way or another.
And that's the contracts. That's what's nuts. It's like, and I wonder if this is where like what I loved the documentary. It is super positive, but I am left with like a lot of questions where it's like, what did he do when he like recorded? I don't think we needed it in this documentary per se, but I would have I kind of want to go in myself now and find out like.
Right,
like
hence
is there
it's
more
searching for Sugar Man because it's about the like quest for him. Finding him, but it does leave you more intrigued of like who is Sugar Man? If he recorded
Sugar
Man, why
he did photo shoots. He like for the original pressings of the shit from the 60s and 70s. It's like he did photo shoots. He like did he had some part in something, And so I'm curious, like did he just do that and then they were like, all right, we'll let you know, and then like nothing happened, and he just kept living his life, which probably happened. That's most people, you get like one opportunity and then you do it, and then you're like, cool, this was a fun project, and then it's done. That's kind of like, like you and I, we've both made like, film together and worked in that industry, and it is like that, where it's like times where you'll work together and you feel like, oh my god, this is like amazing, and then it's like a month and then you're done, and then you kind of don't ever, unless you're physically working on the product afterwards, it's like you don't hear about it until later, and then people are like, oh yeah, do you know this happened? And you're like, no, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
So it's wild how the industry, like, they didn't get into
every
it.
time I'm like, I
the
made a movie, like
I know, yeah, like, yeah, we've done a feature, but it's like, it's wild because the industry is really interesting. It'd be cool to see. I wish this fucking dude, this documentarian, the freaking what is it, Malik? I wish he made more movies.
Academy Award winner Rami Malek.
Rami, yeah. But no, yeah, dude, it's like I really wish he made more.
It's really well put together and really well,
he's
like,
really
paced.
positive too.
Yeah,
he was like, yeah, if you watch the making of, because he's like super genuine, and he's so patient and just like, yeah, good, go for it. All right, let's do it. And he's like, oh, you're done? You don't want to go anymore? All right, that's fine. Let's go. We're done. And it's like, yeah, just like, he's not pushing people.
He had it kind of easy because all the hard digging had already been done for him.
That's true.
And so
I mean, he did a lot of work. But yes,
it was like,
totally.
Here's this really cool story that was like uncovered of this thing, but I got to go and I got to get the whole picture. I got to go interview everyone, get the archives. Like, it's not easy work, but like, it's
right.
But it's like, to go in and try and get the whole picture, which I feel like, other than like we mentioned the few bits we wish we knew more about, I'm sure they know about, but we don't need to know every little thing. You know what I mean?
No, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything in the movie like that. Like
there's just enough injustice, that I'm just like leaving just enough.
Right. Well, you have to have a little conflict, right? So
yeah. So anyway, I got one Reddit. You ready for that?
Oh, sweet, dude.
Do
you have it up, or do you want me to money minute? Or you got? Oh, yeah,
I got it, and then you're gonna money minute while I do Travis's.
Travis. Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds
so. Clones of People 2 says, I know of Rodriguez's music, and I was aware of the documentary, but I had not seen it until now. This is a wonderful story, and the documentary is really engaging in showing us how the story unfolds from the myth to the mystery and to finally the man. It was amazing to see how humble Rodriguez is when he finds out that he is a cultural icon halfway across the world, and I think I was a great choice to not actually show him until the final act of the film. I really like the style of documentary, and I felt that this was unusual in being a feel-good piece. I find that this style often lends itself to more shocking WTF narratives, but in this case, while the story is unbelievable, it is presented in a very optimistic way rather than focusing on the sadness of lost potential or missed opportunities. If I was teaching a class on a documentary, I would show this. My favorite one of the month so far. Thank you. Yeah, 100% agree. Like, I'm glad they chose, and that's kind of been the theme with, like, we talked about it with Paris is Burning a little bit too. Like, I'm glad they chose the uplifting ones. Like, I like a good gritty documentary that's like, for example, had the other documentary had a Paradise Lost one. That one is that the one? That's not the one you were talking about earlier. But had Paradise Lost one, it literally opens.
I don't know Paradise Lost.
It literally opens. It's about the West Memphis Three. It's these kids during the Satanic Panic. These like 3 kids got wrongly accused of murdering these other younger kids. But the documentary literally opens with real footage, and it's fucking harrowing of them pulling the real life bodies out of the swamp. And I'm like, and that documentary is heavy, man. And so I'm kind of glad that I watched Searching, because I've seen that one and I was ready to watch it again. I kind of wanted to. But I'm glad I was pleasantly surprised with the optimism of Searching for Sugar Man. I watched it like 5 a.m. too because my son woke up super early. And I was like, man, if I had to watch Paradise Lost or something.
Yeah, then you...
So I agree.
I guess we have skirted around heavy ones. But it is interesting. Enron started its hook with a suicide, and then didn't fall. I think that's why it's like
it's
fucking
weird.
It's like stupid that they did that. God, I hated Enron.
Go
so
listen.
Much.
It's fine.
Enron's
Go listen.
fine.
It's fine. It's okay.
And then No, we're not having this conversation
Go
again.
listen
So,
to the Enron.
Go listen to it.
Listen to
Enron,
the
yeah.
documentary. You don't need to watch the movie. Just listen to our podcast
Really,
instead.
really though.
Wraps it up.
Really, it really does. So, but anyways, this one starts with like the mythos of a suicide, and then
Well, I like the Sugar
really,
Man song. It's got kind of a good like. It does feel like a '70s like. Like I do feel like it would be played in Vietnam had
totally,
had it been more famous, that kind of thing, like one of those like it's like Sugar Man,
Well, the fact that I'm like surprised, like Chet doesn't know about this guy, dude. The whole time I was watching this, I was like, oh, this is like
that's
this is
it.
right up.
That
Chet's,
is that is. Well, how could he?
Yeah,
he's not from South
know.
Africa, man.
It's true, dog. But then like I guess it's which is funny because I'm like he never really got like that much commercial success here after the fact. But I love.
Go look on Spotify.
Got,
he's got like millions of listens now. Because I
Right.
went after the
And
movie.
that's
I
awesome.
was like, I pulled it up on Spotify.
Yeah, I was listening to it on YouTube, and it has thousands of comments, and like people are like, listening to it a lot, and I'm like,
I think it's really great with this documentary. I think that was the important part about this documentary. I think is like the story happened, and he got the recognition from the people in South Africa, and he had the recognition of like, oh, okay, my music did make an impact. And a pretty big impact in this part of the world. But the importance of the documentary was shining a light on it worldwide, internationally. So now everyone because it won Best Picture at the Academy Awards that year. Or not, Best Documentary Feature.
Right.
But it's like that obviously shined a light. The documentary obviously shined even more of a light. And it's like, no, even in his old age. So that's what he probably...
I'm happy that he didn't like... I mean, I think how he lives is totally fine, and I'm glad that he was happy, and I'm just
they
it's
say
nice
he gives
that he
all
didn't
his
get,
money
like,
to
chewed up.
his exactly because he might have but he says that like even the money he gets like he doesn't keep it, he gives it to his family and his grandkids and shit, and it's like it's like may as well because he is a humble old 80-year-old man that just walks around Detroit like a ghost. Like, lives in an old decrepit part of town.
You find
give us what you got for Money Minutes. And,
I know. Well, I don't got
they're
much.
hard. It's hard, man.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, no, it like there literally is no information on the most information I have on how much production cost for this movie was all the 8mm stuff that they shot was shot on. They shot it on actual Super 8. But they only had enough for like 15 minutes of Super 8. And so they shot it on an iPhone, and they paid like $5 for an app.
They finished it
for the 8mm app on an iPhone to finish it. So that's the most budget I have is like $5. So I have no idea. This no one talked about it, but it was made for I'm sure 100,000 max. Like I doubt it because it's. No, because dude, I'm thinking 100,000 max. If not, I'm guessing like $5,000 or something. It's like I would imagine.
No, there's no way. They definitely made it for more. They built an entire set for the opening title sequence. I mean, it was just a miniature.
They didn't build.
It's like a miniature set thing.
I don't know.
They might not have built it. It might have been a museum or something because it was like a piece that was going across like a landscape of Detroit. Like all the spires that were built.
Right, yeah. Oh, that I'm pretty sure that was all done on like papercraft, and then edited.
Yeah.
Like on a animation app because they talk about how he did all the animation himself.
Oh, really?
And it was all just like it was all done like
maybe
on papercraft
did it
and drawn.
Did it make any good money? Did it make money? It had to have.
It said. I mean, box office. I don't know now afterwards, but box office was like 9.2 million. So
that's great.
That's that's
for
really
a
good
documentary. Like I mean, that's what I'm saying. It won Best Feature, but
what's hard about this Money Minute is you don't know. He worked on it 3 years before a studio, basically a studio, took it from him and helped him clean it up and really got so those man hours behind it that I don't know. I don't know.
That's true. And
because the same production company that did Man on Wire.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the Man on Wire, they came, and that's why I feel
Have
like
you seen that?
I feel like it seems super professional. Yeah, I saw
Man on
it
Wire
when it came out.
Yeah, same.
And so I feel like that's why this seems slick and really well put together.
That
Because
makes
he
sense.
came with like the rough idea and like a lot of the legwork
Well, and
done,
how
a lot
much?
of
Who
footage.
knows how much money was spent campaigning for the Oscar? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
all
that so that and that isn't. Yeah,
But-
you don't really put that like into
I know.
distribution and stuff into production necessarily. But anyways, I don't really have a solid number. This is kind of one of the times where I couldn't really find.
Hey, still
and even
nine
like
million bucks though. They definitely
That's its box
made
office,
it back.
yeah.
I just hope that Rodriguez got a
Yeah.
little bit of it.
something. Well, dude, what's cool though is when he had
It'd be
his
funny. They
Sundance
just
run.
fucked him over. They took his music
Well,
and
no.
played it through the whole thing.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But no, he went on tour with them. So he went to a
cool.
bunch of
To,
venues
like,
where the
promote
movie,
the
was
movie and
playing,
everything?
and he would come out and he would play a concert after.
That's awesome.
So it's like he'd play like a little show. Yeah, he'd do like an acoustic set. So
That is
it's pretty
amazing.
fun.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, he was definitely involved. That makes me feel good.
that
Like,
is
you know.
that is nice. It's like he's got that in his life. So,
Yeah.
All right, I got Travis's voicemail for you.
All right, let's do it.
Hey guys, Searching for Sugar Man is an inspirational tale that brings home the notion that we don't know how our actions will affect others. The newspaper article in the documentary sums up best. American Zero, South African Hero. How a virtually unknown musician from Detroit could contribute to the downfall of apartheid is amazing. And through it all, he was as humble as can be. Now with the impact of social media, a person like Rodriguez couldn't fall off the map and would be easy to find, thus making this story the last of its kind, I believe. Plus, in one scene, he was rocking a Seattle's own Easy Street Records t-shirt, if he wasn't cool enough already. So my question for you guys is, were there any verses or any words he spoke that stood out to you? For me, it was his song I'll Slip Away, playing towards the end of the movie. The song goes, and you can keep your symbols of success, then I'll pursue my own happiness. And you can keep your clocks and routines, then I'll go mend all my shattered dreams. Thanks, guys.
That's nice. Thank you.
Nice, dude. Thanks,
That
Travis.
is a
Yeah,
good point.
I'm glad that like you. It's like I'm glad that you were really like moved by his music.
You
I do
fucking
think it's like
Seattle butts over there.
I
gushing
know,
about
yeah.
Seattle.
yeah, that was funny. Like I didn't notice the T-shirt. So nice catch, Travis.
I know. It's like we do a podcast on it, and I'm like, I don't even remember any of the lyrics.
I don't remember any of the.
I
Dude,
remember
I'm so
my
bad.
favorite lyric is, I wonder how many times you've had sex. That's the one.
Yeah,
Because
it's like
that's what I'm saying. He cuts right through. You think Bob Dylan is writing lyrics about I wonder how many times you fucking sucked it? It's like, no. This
Maybe.
Rodriguez, yeah, maybe. Probably now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, thanks, man. I think that's a good point. I was saying to Mary, I was trying to, because she didn't watch it with me, obviously, but I was trying to tell her about it. I'm like, in this day and age, this would never happen because it's like of the internet. It's like this couldn't happen with the internet.
I brought up this though. So before I knew, when I was watching this documentary, Victoria was around, and before I knew that, like, oh, he got discovered in '98, and I thought this was like present. I thought like, oh, in like the 2009 to 2012,
right?
They were this was all kind of.
I
becoming new.
originally thought that too. Yeah.
I was like, so as I was watching this, my first instinct was like, this guy exists. It's so wild to be like, he has all this like merchandise that exists. How can you not find him? How can you not like find who it just seems like he's not that much of an enigma. But then as it went like into it more, I was like, oh, he actually did have some fame. And then this is what's gonna trip you up, dude. Did you know that he actually went on tour in the 70s and 80s? So he like actually went to Australia and he was really big there.
Oh, really?
And so so a lot of people criticize this documentary as not like giving him a little bit of his credit.
A little bit more.
That he actually did have like.
Yeah, see, because I would have guessed like, oh, he played a local tour in like the region, playing bars and shit, you know.
Right. Which he did a lot of. As a young person not getting paid anything, you're probably getting paid in beer or whatever.
Right,
being
a
probably
musician
getting paid in
in the
$100
early '70s, because it's like the first scene of the movie. They're talking about going to see him in the Smoky Bar, and I think that's a really good part. Honestly,
I love that. Yeah, that's such a good part.
He's playing with his back to the audience, and that really I think says a lot about his character.
Right, totally, yeah.
And same with that line that Travis was just saying about, it's like, take your fame and all that, I'm gonna live a happy life. It's like
Yeah.
so that's why I'm like, I don't think he would do it now. That goes back to like even he's got songs that he does just for the love of it, man. Just for
Right.
being an artist can't stop being an artist. But it's like he's not trying to fucking record records anymore.
He needs a band camp. I want to know a band camp, then we can go pay him money.
I know. Anyway,
him direct.
what was your favorite part of the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like,
It's definitely the part when he finally goes on stage the first time. That was nice.
oh, there's so many parts.
That's mine.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's
My
just so
favorite,
satisfying to see the audience be like, yeah.
Right. Well, no, and that's cool. That makes
I
me feel good.
expected him to cry
everyone
like I was
into
going to have that moment. I was getting choked up because I'm a fucking
Yeah.
baby back bitch now. But
it.
I was getting
But,
choked up. But he was just like, what's up?
Yeah.
Let's play it,
Yeah.
like he just gets to it, man. He's
Right. Like
He
he's born to do it. He's
Sugarman.
got that charisma. Yeah. My favorite part is when they first interview him and he's like he opens the window and it's like he's just like a grandpa and he's like
he just got
and
his
then
sunglasses on and
yeah, well, and he's like, what should I be doing? Should I have like a glass of water?
Yeah,
or something?
yeah,
Like,
it's
and so I love that how he's just like, what should I do with my hands? Like, what do I do?
I know, right?
What do I like? What like? He's so modest and he's so like cool in everything he does. It's like even when he's being bashful, it's like you're kind of like, dude, you're kind of cool, man. And his wardrobe is
chill.
hot fire,
Dude, yeah.
hot fire, dude. It's so cool.
Because that's the thing. He's like super chill of like the kind of hippie mentality, but with that wasn't corrupted. But he's also kind of a badass in his way. Like not like he's not like yeah, bro. But he's like it's just it is what it is. But he's got like his leather and like he's just all black pretty much a lot of the time.
Yeah. He kind of he's got a lot of that like
his
I
big
don't know, kind
his
of rock
big
and roll.
90s flowing shirt though in those scenes. I like that.
Yeah, dude. Well, and I love his like he does have like this like rock and roll attitude, but then he plays kind of like old country, like old folk.
Well, it
Like,
sounds that way,
yeah,
but like a lot of the lyrics are
for
the time
totally.
very rock and roll. They're very like
right, of course.
rebel, anti-establishment.
Well, and I think it's like learning to play an acoustic guitar was a very popular thing and still is to this day. And it's like back then it's like he had access to an acoustic, so he probably just used what he had, but he wrote his lyrics for like his truth, man. I love that. That's great.
Anyway, if you just go watch this movie, it's a good time.
Mine was like, if you like this, watch Inside Llewyn Davis. But that's more
so
that's more depressing.
But it's
so
really good.
It's a really
I
good
feel
movie.
like it's a
And
pretty
totally,
underlooked Coen Bros movie.
it kind of gives me the reason I say it is because it's like that's kind of the tragic end of what this story could have been. Almost should have been, where it's like this dude who's just like has no success, but is a struggling artist with like trying to tell his story. But it's like, the struggle is pretty cool there. So that would be that's my. I feel
that's
like
a good
special.
recommendation. God, I want to. I kind of want to rewatch that movie.
I know. I need to watch.
I watched
it
it without Mary, and I feel like she'd like it, and so I'm gonna make her watch it. Maybe we'll do a Coen Brothers thing or something. Even though
that'd be fun.
That one won't get picked. So I'll have to.
We should just do a bonus episode on it, later in life.
We keep saying that. We were gonna do a bonus episode tonight, and we're not doing that.
We might do a bonus episode.
Anyways, we were gonna do Last of Us. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
dead.
Well, no, okay. We might do a ramble, everybody, but let's stay on pins and needles.
Documentaries. Go watch Searching for Sugar Man. Is really good.
We have one more documentary.
One more. The documentary we're watching next week. I'm actually really excited to watch this one. Is Hodorowski's Dune one.
I've seen it.
Oh,
and
I've not seen it.
I'm excited to watch it again. I'm just kind of sad because I saw it like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I haven't seen any of the other documentaries posted. So I was like, the one I've seen got picked. But I love it.
That's always how it goes.
Hodorowski's such a cool. Hodorowski is basically Rodriguez in the film. Like he's a really big, filmmaker, and people respect him. But he's kind of lost to he had no huge success, commercial.
That's
fame.
Another one, yeah.
But
I know. I
I'm
voted
excited.
for my best fiend because I like, or obviously Werner Herzog. But I got a weird. I want to know more about Klaus Kinski, man. That guy.
Yeah, dude.
Something about him, man. Something about him. But there's just too many documentaries. Like I just feel like I was literally like, I was looking up. I'm like, there's just so many and so many I want to watch. So I'm glad we did it this month. It is harder to talk about sometimes, but it is a kind of a palate cleanser for me, and I think that's
And-
kind of why I wanted to do it, and I'm glad we did.
I'm excited for this next one.
I'm excited. I didn't know
you.
I didn't know you'd seen it. I thought that was one because you don't watch any movies, you know. I was like,
Yeah, I know. I've never seen a movie
I thought
before.
David was trying to get us to watch it, and we're like, yeah, I want to, but I haven't. That's me. I haven't watched it yet. So anyway, next week, Hoardorowski's Dune. Check it out. Thanks for listening to this episode. Sure appreciate you. I'm gonna have to record this on some type of physical medium so I can save it from getting lost in obscurity.
Yeah, or we'll just keep going. I'll put it on like 8 different hard drives every year. I'll just put it on a new hard drive. But
I'm just gonna physically print the transcript and just keep it in my attic.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty fucking sick, dude. That's cool. But even then, you have to transfer it onto like.
I can barely keep up with this. I'm
microfiche.
so lazy.
And
like scatterbrained, man. Can you imagine me trying to do a project like that?
But
anyway,
for this movie, we talked about archiving. We needed to get fucking Daryl on this, dude.
Yeah, bud.
I know. Why did we do that, man? We're fools. All right.
Anyway, go to the Reddit.
Patreon.
Go to the Patreon.
I changed the Patreon up a little bit, so
okay, cool.
Things are updated. You can go check it out. Get all the goodies, sticker of the month club and all that.
Yeah, bud. Check that out. Go on the Reddit so you can actually get in our conversations and come talk about the movies. Vote on what we're watching. I don't know what we're doing next month, but stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.